Okay, it is the Wednesday session for Bitcoin. It's got about another hour before the session closes. We had a big sell-off of about 3.5%. Then Bitcoin rebounded back up, trying to either get a bottoming tail or a hanging man candlestick. We'll see what happens. Again, Bitcoin is likely forming a bottom in a bottoming process. I think it will get a bigger rally, and I've told you that in my last update that, again, Bitcoin is forming bottom, and if it allows signals to start turning back to bullish, we could see a bigger rally, even come back up here and strong tool, come back up here and test the trend line around 68 or 69,000 for another test. Really possible. Last update, I told you why Bitcoin was trying to bottom is because it's hitting key support, like right here at Bitcoin's average price, the 50-week moving average. You can see right here on the weekly chart, we're bouncing out that 50-week moving average. We're trying to rebound this week after 2 weeks of selling off, really 2.5 weeks of selling off, dropping nearly 19.5%, 19.31%. They're in 2.5 weeks, and now we're attempting to rebound off our 50-week moving average, off of Bitcoin's average price, the lower boundary trend line that I've talked about of the potential bull flag, which is a pattern that has marked other tops. Majority of the tops on Bitcoin that we've seen in its history have been bull flag patterns. I'll show you the chart. You watch the video all the way through. We are trapped between the green 50-week moving average and the 20-week moving average. We got rejection added here. We got rejection added over here. I told you over here we were going to bottom out. I told you we were bottoming. Bitcoin was going to rally to 70,000. It did. And then we turned down. We dropped down for 8 days. And I told you again over here, they're likely going to move to 78.6 Fibonacci and the 20-week moving average, which we did in fact do. And now I'm telling you right here, again, just as I told you over here, Bitcoin was putting in a short-term bottom, as I told you over here. The July low, the Bitcoin was in a bottoming process. The Bitcoin was forming a bottom over and over again. I talked about over here and called the bottom there the day after the May low. All of those bottoms were correct. And again, I'm telling you right now, again, you got a good shot that one is developing as well. And I talked about that in great length and detail in my last video. I'm going to talk about it more in this video. Bouncing off the 50-week. Keep in mind, we still have the 20-week. We're below the 20-week, and the 10 is below the 20-week. So again, trapped between support and resistance. Below the 20-week moving average in the weekly time frame. That is bearish for Bitcoin. We'll get a bigger drop if we lose this 50-week moving average, as I've talked about at great length and detail. Back to the daily chart. Again, Bitcoin's also bouncing off Bitcoin's average price. We did over here, which again, I talked about in great length and detail in my last update. We're getting above the 10-period moving average. We're still seeing the 10 below the 20. The 20 is the blue line. The 10 is the red. The 10 and 20 are still pointing down and still below the 50. The risk is, again, we take this level out, we start moving below this low and get a bigger drop, 44,000, which is a 78.6 Fibonacci from the January low, or go to the rising trend line, which would be just above that from the bottom. If we can get traction right here and we bottom out as signals are suggesting we're trying to do, and support can continue to hold, which it is at the moment, and we could attempt eventually a bigger rebound back up. I'll be watching the low right here and the low right here. Even if we try to go lower, again, you still may bottom out, end up trying to take out that low. And again, we have really a possible divergence in place here, excluding these shadows, the RSI. So we'll be watching this low, or if again, come back and test it again. Regardless of which way it plays out, I think you got a good shot that a bottom is trying to form. If you watch this video all the way through, you'll see why I think that. Not only are we bouncing off of the 50-week moving average and here get Bitcoin's average price, but we're also trying to bounce off this lower boundary of this potential bull flag. I'll be talking more about this bull flag in just a moment. These are the types of patterns that have set up tops on Bitcoin over and over again. So we're bouncing off Bitcoin's average price, we're bouncing off the 50-week moving average, and we're also bouncing off this trend line with this low here, this low right here, excluding the shadow here, and it's parallel to this upper boundary that we turned off of. Back over here, I told you Bitcoin was bottoming and that we're go back up and test the 100 period moving average, which is the pink line there, and I told you we were likely going to overthrow it, move to the 70,000 area and hit this trend line, which we did right on the nose, turned down for 8 days, had a big collapse for 8 days of 29%, and then we talked about a bottom here, rebound back up towards the Fibonacci's. Again, I told you we were hitting major support levels that time. So again, I expected a bounce, and that's where I closed my short position, by the way. Talked about that at the time. I've just been playing these moves back and forth, and I love these trend lines on Bitcoin. I mean, absolutely incredible. We just broke this downward trend line right here. So again, we could be carving out a bottom. Again, talked about these trend lines breaking and then forming new downward trend lines and then new upward trend lines, and back and forth, beautiful, in this larger channel, or if you will, a bull flag for Bitcoin. Now let's talk about the bull flag. I think that Bitcoin could possibly attempt to move back above the 100 period. If it can get above the 100, like I told you here, if it can get above the 100, we can move up into this area right in here on into early October. That's certainly possible. There might be more work to be done right here, but we did break the trend line. We did get above the 10 period moving average. So again, we'll be watching. We're trying to back test at the moment. We'll see if we get more of a back test, and we'll see, again, do we test these lows or try to take them out and then bottom. But I am getting bottoming signals here, as I've talked about in my last update, that we're bouncing off support. Now I'm getting begin to try to turn back to bullish with momentum and some bottoming signals. If you watch the video all the way through, you'll see those. The support levels here, but let's talk about this bull flag. You can clearly see it on this chart. Everybody's talking about how bullish the bull flag is, and again, I told you we could have an M pattern, that is the McDonald's pattern, the M pattern, with a series of lower highs and lower lows, and eventually see the bottom fall out of this thing, or go back up into the upper end and see the bottom fall out of it after another divergence with the S&P 500, which again happens at major tops, which again right now we're seeing Bitcoin and the S&P diverge from one another. I believe S&P will go make a new high. My guess is Bitcoin will not. I think Bitcoin topped back in March. I think we're going to get the next leg down of the bear market, which I think has already begun back over here in March. We have a bull flag. We have a bull flag. My favorite moon boy keeps saying when this bull flag breaks out, we'll be at 100,000 in no time at all. Well, there's a problem with that. Patterns, those channel bull flag fake out patterns have set up over and over again at major Bitcoin tops. And it's been all the major tops that we've had over the last several years. Bitcoin's been around. Let me show you. This is Bitcoin's weekly chart going all the way back to 2013. And the thing here you can see is that at major tops, before we've had these bear markets and before we've had these major drawdowns on Bitcoin, bull flags have set up. Here's our bull flag we have right now. Bull flags set up. Previous top, the top before that, again, didn't stop these big drawdowns from happening. Bull flag set up after we started the new bull market. A bull flag set up, didn't play out. We had a big drawdown of 71%. Bull market completed with a bull flag setting up. Didn't stop at 84% haircut from Bitcoin, and back over here the same thing. A bull flag set up in 2013 and 14 still had an 86% drop. All of these were bull flags that set up over multiple months, just like what we have right now, and it didn't stop. Much bigger decline. Now, so far, Bitcoin from the high has dropped about 33%, so it's lost 1/3 of its value. These declines were much, much bigger. It could be that if Bitcoin starts losing the 50-week moving average in the weekly time frame, which we're currently bouncing off of, and Bitcoin's average price, you'll get a much, much bigger drop on Bitcoin. I'm showing you this because, you know, one of my favorite moon boys, and man, I really like this guy. I really, really like him. Every single day he posts, the bull flag breaks out, we're going to 100,000. Now, in all fairness, we did have bull flag patterns, those rallies in the past. Again, this was a bull flag right here on our way to the new to a new high. We've had bull flags with this massive run up right here. We've had several bull flags in here come into play over and over again. I'm not trying to dismiss the bull flag as some kind of reversal pattern. I'm just trying to point out to you there are times when it is bullish, but I'm trying to point out to you that the Bitcoin tops, each major top that you see right in front of you, there was a bull flag present, but the pattern failed. Ended up dropping below the low of the pattern, and maybe again we've dropped below it and rebounded back up, or dropped down to it and rebounded back up before a bigger drop. Same thing over here. But the point is that hey, we can go, okay, it's a bull flag, it's a bull flag. That doesn't mean it's going to have an upward resolution, because all of these patterns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 patterns before it since 2013 have marked major tops for Bitcoin that led to drawdowns: 86%, 84%, 71%, 55%, 78%. Okay, and Bitcoin's only dropped 33% so far from our March high. That is a risk, okay? All this chatter about the bull flag all over the place on social media, on YouTube, all over the place. People like one of my favorite Moo Boys posting a chart on it nearly every single day. I'm just trying to tell you, the bull flag didn't stop the bottom from falling out of Bitcoin at all of these tops. It didn't stop it. We didn't get an upward resolution of a breakout to it either. So do keep that in mind. Bull flag patterns, or I should say bull flag fake out patterns, been associated with all of the Bitcoin tops, all the major tops that we've had since 2013, 2017, 2019, 2021, and 2021 again. Every single major top that we've had since 2013 has been associated with a fake, phony, baloney, plastic banana, good time rock and roll fake bull flag pattern. A fake bull flag. Keep that in mind. Now quickly, again, I just want to continue to remind you that the weekly signals are bearish. No reason to be long-term bullish on Bitcoin unless we can flip the weekly signals back to bullish. Again, I think we're forming a short-term bottom. If we can get traction off of the levels I've been talking about, if we lose the 50-week, if we lose its average price, stay below those levels, can't get back above them, that would be extremely bearish. You bounce off those levels, that's going to be bullish. But I want to continue to remind you, again, momentum in the weekly time frame is negative. Okay, it turned negative here. We went back up. We tested the cloud. We got rejection there. And again, we turned right back down the center line here with momentum. Again, when bad things are happening on Bitcoin, when things are red here, and you're consistently seeing momentum in the negative region, then Bitcoin's dropping. So again, bears are in control. Right now they're in control in the daily time frame still. Momentum's flipping right now, but signals are bearish, and here in the weekly time frame. So do keep that in mind. Well, I think we could get a rally back up again. Bitcoin has likely peaked, and until we flip the weekly signals back to bullish, bears are in control. So there's no reason to be long-term bullish on Bitcoin unless we can flip my signals, which are correct, back to bullish. This is the problem right here, that momentum is negative. And again, the momentum line is bearish. It's dropping. Might get a bounce. You got to be able to flip this and get above 69,000. You got to be able to clear this downward trend line, and you got to really be able to flip the weekly signals back to bullish if you're going to try to turn this around, get back above the 20-week moving average, which we've gotten rejection off of twice now, as you're seeing in this video. Now, we broke the trend line, the downward trend line. I've talked about that in this video. Talked about that happening in last video. In the last video, we had a rally. It was starting when I was making the video. We ended up rallying up about 5%, some of it back, and then rallied further. But we still have the bars reflecting momentum red. But we are seeing, with the with the Wednesday session, we're seeing the momentum now flip. Now, again, this has to have some staying power, not be one of these where it flips up and then you end up getting a bigger dump, or it flips up right here and you get a bigger dump over here. But as what we're seeing is we're seeing it turn up. But on a positive note, at the Tuesday close, we're seeing a buy signal form. Okay, that was Monday's rally. A little bit of a follow through, so it triggered that buy signal right there. Now, these have been present when I've called other bottoms, like over here in July. We had this buy signal on July 5th, and we got some bottoming tails, and I told you, it kept saying, bottom is forming, a Bitcoin bottom's forming. Talked about a rally to 70,000, and that happened. Spot on, right on the nose. The signals were correct. And again, notice the little B's for short-term bottoms for momentum. We have that here. Now we have the little arrow. You can see the little blue arrow behind the little buy signal that's forming there. So we're seeing some momentum, bullish momentum signals. We're seeing a buy signal here. And look over here again. May 2nd, we bottomed on May 1st with the Fed. I called a bottom on May 2nd, and these signals were present May 2nd and May 3rd here for Bitcoin. And again, we got evidence of some bottom signals there. And again, look at momentum here, and over here. Now, over here with momentum, there was no buy signal. We had the buy signals here, and then that was reaffirmed right there. We also had it here. Those signals gave us bigger rallies, bigger counter trend rallies, bigger counter trend rallies. We didn't get it over here. We did see the cloud flip, and again, back up. We got rejection at the 100. We got rejection at horizontal resistance that I talked about at great length of detail. We got rejection at the 78.6 Fibonacci. So here we're trying to form some bottoming signals. We still have the balance of power negative. I'm seeing evidence that a bottom is trying to form surrounding Bitcoin's average price, surrounding the 50-week moving average, surrounding that lower channel line that I'm talking about in this video and have been talking about for videos. I talked about pulling back to that lower channel line of our potential bull flag, which I'm addressing in this video, or likely a fake bull flag we've seen at other tops with Bitcoin. Every major top has had a fake bull flag associated with it since 2013. So if this is the real deal, there probably is going to be more work to be done, but we'll need to see some green bars begin to show up here. If we rally back up, I'll be watching the 200 and the 100 period moving average up here. I'll be watching the declining trend line up here. Again, I think Bitcoin could get a counter trend, but like I said, bears are in control. Unless that changes, we're just going to get another counter trend. To alert you to the bullish signal that has now developed with Monday's rally, on Tuesday's follow through, and the other bullish signals, you can clearly see the momentum signals that are developing here surrounding Bitcoin's average price and our 50-week moving average. While momentum is trying to shift with the momentum line, again, the trend, this line right here represents a swing move, and it's still bearish, it's still red, it's still pointing down, we're still below it. The cloud, we have not gotten back above it, it's still bearish, and we're still a red cloud. And we're still below the 100 period moving average. We still have a red background representing a bearish trend. So the bulls have their work cut out for them. Again, I think that if we carve out a bottom here, I think we can get a rally that will go on up into 68,000 and our trend line again. And if we do that, we could diverge with the S&P 500 one more time. The bulls would have to get us above this level for a convincing breakout. And in order for legitimate breakout to happen, you have to believe that the inverted yield curve that just is signaling that a recession is 3 to 6 months away is not going to be correct somehow. A signal that reliable indicators now going to somehow be wrong. You have to believe that the unemployment rate based on the SAW rule being triggered, the 3-month moving average, which is now predicting recession, which hasn't been wrong in decades. Since the 1970s. You have to believe that that's wrong, and you have to believe that the dollar is on the verge of a collapse. It's broken out and back-tested, as I've talked about. So these are the things that are against the Bitcoin bullish scenario, the Bitcoin bull market. Again, the bulls have their hurdles to get over, And, in the meantime, they haven't even been able to clear 69,000. We've gotten above it 8 times, and every single time it's failed 8 times. And again, the resistance zone from the peak over here and over here, it's held with our double top over here, and then we got another lower high right here. We talked about the rejection at the trend line in 70,000, and now we got rejection at the 78.6 Fibonacci of this decline. So again, the bulls really have their work cut out for them. And I've just been trading those back and forth, going from bullish to bearish as signals change. But longer term, bigger picture is that the weekly chart is bearish. Dropped below the 20-week moving average and gotten rejection at it. You'll see that in this video. Unless that changes, there's no reason to believe that Bitcoin is going to move into a long-term bullish phase. More than likely, Bitcoin will begin to price in the recession along with the stock market. I do believe that he will move to new high. Don't believe Bitcoin will. I believe NASDAQ has topped and it's going to make a lower high. If NASDAQ can rebound back up, Bitcoin may do it as well into the 68,000 area, this declining trend line that I've talked about. Right here. Signals start turning back to bullish. If this bullish buy signal plays out, then that's the level I'm going to be watching. Now, this is the bars reflecting the trend. Or I'm sorry, the bars reflecting momentum. They're still bearish, but the momentum line is trying to turn back to bullish here with our session that we are in right now. We're in the last hour of that trading session at the moment. Let's take a look at the bars reflecting the trend, and that is right here. Now, let me say this. This is they're still red. The bars are still red, reflecting the trend. The trend signals are still bearish, but we're trying to see momentum turn back. I showed you the momentum line on the other chart. Here I have the impulse line. That turned bullish the day before. That turned bullish on Monday. It's a little bit more sensitive to turn, so it could give false signals. Now you have both the momentum line and the impulse line both turning back to bullish. We've got this bullish signal here. And again, look at all these blue B's right here. Again, how excellent they have marked the short term. It just marks short term momentum moves. Here, we've had the bottoms here. We've had the tops up here. I mean, absolutely incredible signals. So again, we're probably developing a bottom here. As I talked about my last update, this update, Bitcoin's trying to form a bottom, just as I told you back over here, just as I told you here when we hit the key levels of support, and just as I told you back over here in early May that Bitcoin was bottoming. Called some amazing tops with the double top over here, and the top here is 70,000 over here. I told you we were peaking at the 72 to 73,000 area. We dropped. We ended up doing that, and we dropped back to the 100 period moving average. I think it was like 23%. Absolutely amazing calls with the signals here, but I do believe that a bottom is developing here, probably still under construction. We'll see if signals turn back to bullish. And again, why do I think there's going to be a rally? Because we're going to have a Fed pivot next week. And the Fed is going to lower rates. Stock market's going to bottom out and probably try to begin a big multiple week rally. Bitcoin will probably do the same thing and probably rally up here into the 68,000, 69,000 area. I think that it'll get its final diversions with the S&P 500, and then I think Bitcoin is going to collapse. Now, with the bullish signals that we are getting right here, momentum is still negative. Now, momentum will have to get back into positive territory. The risk is that we still come back and test this low. Just as I told you over here at the July 5th low, there was still risk that we test that low, take it out, or get a higher low. We ended up getting the higher low scenario. Over here, again, we had this low. I told you, watching that low, again, we were hitting key levels of support, and we, again, tested that low, and we got a bottom there and a slightly higher high on May 2nd. So again, do we get a higher low or a slightly lower low surrounding this area? We'll see. It can play out either way. For recent days, it's been the higher low scenario that has set up, but we don't want to dismiss the possibility of a lower low before diversions with momentum or something. But again, I do believe that a bottom is forming. That's the point I'm trying to make to you, and I do believe that we will eventually try to rally back up to 68,000. Now, if I'm wrong about this and these signals end up failing, you'll lose this level and you start getting a significant drop below this low over here. The risk is we're going back to the 44,000 area, the 78.6 Fibonacci from the January low, that we're going back to the longer term trend line. But again, I do believe that a bottom is carving out. I do have evidence here of signals that it is trying to bottom out. There's a very good chance that our low here from last week ends up holding at around Bitcoin's average price here and our 50-week moving average there in the low 50,000 range. What was it, 51 or 52,000 or whatever it was with that spike low? I think it was 52,000 if I remember right. Again, I think trying to form a bottom surrounding that level. So again, I wanted to update you that we're starting to see some bullish signals here as we bounced off of week moving average, Bitcoin's average price, and that lower trend line of the potential bull flag, or what is more likely a fake bull flag I've been talking about, will be talking about in this video.